One of the most important aspects of running a successful food business is using the best ingredients possible. To ensure we do this, we only accept food that is of the highest standards. Any foods that do not meet these standards will not be accepted. As a food handler, you should be aware of your food business's food safety management system, HACCP, Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point. Part of the HACCP system will be the checking in of incoming goods, which will have a direct impact on how safe your finished product is. It is a legal requirement that staff involved in a food environment are trained or supervised to commensurate with their work activity. The responsibility for the supervision and training of the staff lies with the proprietor of the food business. The fundamentals are to ensure we have the correct processes in place and the essential utensils for a seamless delivery check. These are a goods receiving bench or an area, calibrated probe with probe wipes, calibrated weighing scales, food grade decanting equipment, disposable gloves, sanitizer, disposable paper towels, a pen and an approved supplier list to cross-check your goods in delivery check. To ensure there is no risk of contamination of foods, you must assess the hygiene of the delivery unit and the delivery personnel. When assessing the foods, this is what you need to keep in mind. There is no evidence of contamination of packaging and tamper-proof devices are intact. Canned foods are not blown or damaged. Cross-check the weight or quantity of the food with the invoice or delivery docket. Foods are within their use by or best before dates, and foods are adequately labelled. Foods that are chilled or frozen are at the correct temperatures. Goods receiving records need to be kept for all deliveries. With disposable gloves on, cross-check the weight or quantity of the food with the invoice or delivery docket. To record the temperature of chilled foods that are vacuum packed, place the probe needle between the two products. It is best not to pierce the vacuum produce as the seal will be broken and the shelf life possibly shortened. Chilled foods must be delivered at a temperature of 0 degrees Celsius to 5 degrees Celsius. If at the time of delivery the surface temperature of the food is greater than 5 degrees Celsius and less than 8 degrees Celsius, restore the food temperature to less than 5 degrees Celsius. If it is greater than 8 degrees Celsius, the food shall be risk assessed or rejected and returned to the supplier. Frozen foods must be delivered at equal to or less than minus 18 degrees Celsius. If at the time of delivery, the temperature of frozen food is not at minus 18 degrees Celsius, but greater than minus 12 degrees Celsius, or shows signs of thawing, the food should be risk assessed or rejected and returned to the supplier. To record the temperature of frozen foods, place the probe needle between two pieces of frozen product. Or use a surface temperature probe like this one. Never try to pierce a frozen product with a probe needle. All food businesses who prepare pre-packaged food items for sale are required by EU law to provide product information on packaging. The information on the label must be visible, legible, understandable, indelible, clear and unambiguous, and should not mislead the consumer in any way. The food business operator must be able to demonstrate that all supplies of raw materials or ingredients to the business are obtained from approved suppliers only and comply with necessary requirements. The food business operator must have a list of suppliers by product type from whom products are to be purchased. That is an approved supplier list. A supplier should be deleted from this list if you are not satisfied with food or other requirements, for example, the labelling information not provided. If the quality of any food item or items is not up to standard, or if any of these requirements are not met, the food should be returned and a record kept of the returns. A designated, clearly identified area must be provided for products to be returned to the suppliers. A record of delivery must be filled out for all food deliveries. Here is an example of what it looks like and what information needs to be recorded. Date, food item, batch code, use by date, supplier details, adequate separation of raw and ready to eat foods, yes or no, condition of goods and packaging up to standard, delivery temperature following transport, comments or any action required, and signed. If the delivered foods meet the standards outlined, then you must sign and print your name on the docket clearly. Ensure a copy of the invoice or delivery docket is kept. If more than one delivery arrives at the same time, ensure the high-risk items are prioritised and stored first. The food then needs to be stored correctly. Decant the items if necessary and store in appropriate areas of the kitchen. For example, dry goods to the dry goods store, chilled products to the correct fridges or cold rooms, frozen products to the freezer. It is best practice to use the FIFO, first in, first out approach. Decant foods before storing in food-grade storage containers. It is important that employees are constantly updated when it comes to food safety legislation and regulations. And it is essential that all staff checking food deliveries are supervised, instructed, and trained in the correct processes. If unsure of any procedures or processes, it is best to check with your supervisor.